And this is the September 11th regular meeting of the Board of Selectmen. We'll start with the pledge, and then just so you know, we'll stay risen and we'll do a moment of silence afterwards.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you all very much. I'll at least talk more during my remarks on the significance of the date of our meeting right now, September 11th, and 23 years since the tragic attack. So, but we'll go through our meeting minutes first. So first, comments from the public. Bob, I see you're here. I'm going to put my glasses on so I can see you.
So if you haven't seen me before, I'm Bob McMillan. I'm a resident of Pawcatuck. And my concern specifically is the incompletion of the sidewalk from Stonington High School to Mayflower Avenue. And, you know, I came here a couple months ago and asked about it, and I came to the office and I spoke with Danny about it privately. So I'm just curious. It's been a couple of months. Where's the project? What's the progress? You know, I'm a project planner for my job, so okay, where are we in the project and what's the date that the plan is for? So it's all about the completion of the sidewalk.
Well, thank you. What I can do is I have my regular check-in with DPW tomorrow, so we can follow up with you right after that. Last I knew when we last checked in, they were requesting the engineering plans as far as they got from B&L, who was the firm we had used for the sidewalk, and our team was gonna analyze them to see if we were gonna need to engage another engineer and to what extent to come up with all the alternatives that we talked about, or if they felt like there was enough there that we could do it in-house. That's probably optimistic, but they wanted to at least obviously review it for due diligence, but let me see what's happened since then.
So you're meeting with the Department of Public Works?
Yeah, so I'm with our director and town engineer tomorrow.
Yep. And, you know, obviously you told me before that, you know, you did an awful lot of work and then all of a sudden came to a halt because it violated some state highway codes, I think is what you told me. And as surprising as it was to me that everything been checked out before you started, it happens. So do you expect to get more clarification on that tomorrow? What you have to do to meet those codes? And I know the landowners have told you that
they're open to it, but again, they have, well, one of the property owners has their own requirements that they want, and again, none of this could be done before they did the engineering, because they have, there's a retaining wall that has to be moved, a driveway that has to be moved, stairs that potentially have to be moved, and without, you know, going into too much of, you know, other people's business, you know, there was things understandably they were willing and not willing to do, but they are open to working with us, but we have to see how to meet DOT standards for slope, and again, I'm not an engineer, but slope, and the standard for how it meets their road, and with also making sure we're not taking on too much liability with the retaining wall, and then also meeting the property owner's needs. So that's where, as we talked about, it has fallen apart.
and I've looked at this a lot, as I look at the three properties across from the Stonington Shopping Center, there are three homes. And then there's a place they just tore down, and the lot is completely empty now. So, you know, in my mind, when you think about what you do to finish the sidewalk, it's those four properties really, as I look at it, that need to be resolved, one of which has nothing to do with height. Okay, so you'll give me some kind of an update after tomorrow's meeting.
Yes, I will follow up when we talk, and then we'll follow up. And again, it probably will be slower than anybody would like. But like I said, I appreciate you keep engaging with us, because it keeps us being, you know, we can obviously easily get distracted with a million things going on. So it's good that you keep engaging us. So it's not, I don't want you to think it's a bother or pester at all. It's actually very helpful. So.
And I'm trying to be, excuse me, I'm trying trying to be respectful, understanding
You've
we
been
have a
very-
lot of things.
Yeah, you've been very respectful, and it's good to keep us on our toes, so thank you for being here and taking
So
the time.
tomorrow's Friday, don't feel like.
Tomorrow's Thursday.
Oh, it is.
Yeah. I was like, wait, don't, I need Thursday.
My wife confuses me, because she telling me it's a different day. Right. Okay, at your convenience, thank you very much.
So, not to belabor it, but just to clarify, we are talking about the 3 residential properties across the street
Yeah,
from the.
Yes, and I have to check, as we said, the one that was the business one, I have to go back, because I obviously wasn't in charge of the project, but that one maybe was up to the business owner, because they were already redoing it,
Yeah,
I
I
might
don't
be
think it is.
getting it
I
confused.
think that they were expecting that they may have to modify what the town did.
Did,
I
okay.
don't think it was required as part of their permit that they.
Okay, so I'll go back and check, it might have been, I know
Has
like,
somebody bought that property? Is there a new owner of that property?
I don't know. Do you know?
Well, it's been through a long process for permit for convenience store and gas station.
Okay,
Or
really?
property. But we'll check on
Okay,
that.
thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And Paul Sarter, for the Mystic Fire District Executive Committee, I want to thank you for going to the event today, 9/11. I couldn't be there, but I'm glad you were
It was
there.
really touching. I've never participated
Oh,
in that
yeah.
one, and
Oh,
it
yeah.
was really moving. You all did a really wonderful job with it.
Yeah, every year we do it. It's quite a ceremony, so thank you.
It was an honor to be there.
As the years go past, it doesn't get any more sorrowful than it did.
They, like I said, like, I'll touch on it. It really was a very moving ceremony that they did. Anything else, public
Nope.
comment wise?
Nope.
Any public comment? No? Okay. Okay. All right, thank you. Okay, on to the very exciting, do I hear a motion to approve the regular meeting minutes of August 14th, 2024?
So moved.
Do I hear a second?
I'll second.
Any discussion?
No, they look good, thank you, Susie.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries. Okay, a few correspondence. So we received a letter from the EDC to the Board of Selectmen and PZC recommending that the town retain its current one-year look-back period as part of the ongoing comprehensive zoning rewrite. On to the next one. Gary Belke and Mary Ellen Madaleska are requesting reappointment to the PZC. Next one, Andrew Tobin submitted an application for an alternate seat on the PZC, and just as a reminder, interviews for this seat, which I think we're now up to 3 people, will take place on September 25th. William Middleton and John Mershon submitted applications for the Board of Police Commissioners, and Richard Brimberg submitted an application for the Conservation Commission. So that's great, people are very engaged.
Question?
Yeah.
And maybe he'll bring it when, I won't be there for the interview. I saw a resume from Mr. Tobin, but no actual application.
I have
Yeah,
asked
good
him,
point, yeah.
I've asked him 3 times for
Okay.
the application, so I will ask again, hopefully in advance of that meeting.
Yeah, because I think it's important to have the application because it answers questions that a resume does not. Thank you.
When will Board of Police Commissioners interviews be?
October 9th, or October, whatever our first meeting is in October.
Okay.
Thanks.
Any other questions or comments under correspondence? If not, we have appointment, Mystic River Boathouse Park Implementation Committee, our longest titled commission. Actually, no, it's actually, no, it was the FERC.
I was going to say the FERC's probably longer.
So could I get could I hear a motion to appoint Shannon McKenzie to the Mystic River Boathouse Park Implementation Committee? And just for clarity, she'll be taking Chris, I'm so sorry, Chris, he's a wonderful person. I'm not going to even try and say his last name. Chris G's seat, which previously was, I think, Steve White's seat,
Yes.
because there's always been a Seaport representative.
So moved.
Your second.
Second.
All the,
She's definitely been involved in this and is very familiar with the project, so she's actually great to have. Yeah.
she's wonderful.
She's good. Yeah. I'm very happy that she's going to be in the commission.
All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, motion carries. So, under appointment, so as you guys all know, and maybe news to some people listening, if anyone's listening, Patty Bermel is retiring from her role as the Director of Administrative Services for the town of Stonington on this Friday. And she's been with us for about 4 years. we of course want to thank her for her service and dedication to the town. We went through a extensive hiring process, as we always do, and are very happy to share that we've hired Marisa Inela Rodriguez for this role. She joins us most recently from the town of Ledyard, where she was their Human Resources Director since April 2023, and prior to that, she was with Westerly Public Schools in their Human Resources Department, held their top role in the last 3 years. She was there 10 years total. And I have to just add too, she has probably the best references I've ever seen. She's just over the top, above and beyond. Everyone really, really enjoyed working with her. So she brings really strong municipal and human resources backgrounds with a strong track record of driving collaborations and employee engagement. Could I get a motion to formally appoint Marisa as the Director of Administrative Services?
So moved.
Second.
Do you guys have questions?
So will she be working, or perhaps has already been working with Patty?
So Patty very
Transition?
nicely gave us like a 2-week transition period. So Marisa actually officially started last Tuesday. And Patty has stayed on until this Friday. And then she's been great about saying she can still call her and ask her questions. But
We will definitely miss Patty. I'm not saying that Marissa is.
Yeah, no, it's
fine,
still-
but we'll
yeah.
definitely miss Patty. She has really been wonderful to
And who
work
was
with.
involved in interviewing and search?
so what we do, well, what the Director of Administrative Services does, and this time it was pretty similar, is they'll always, obviously, they work with their team to do the job description. Or if it's union, they work with the union. This one wasn't. So the job description, so Patty actually had to really look at her job description, consider what's actually being done, really update it, because it was quite dated. Post it out there, all the job boards, all the different services, like LinkedIn, Indeed, all those places, all the kind of HR job boards too. And then once we get, the deadline comes around, there's a committee put together by the Director of Administrative Services to review all the applications. There's like a scoring matrix. All the names are blacked out. You don't see anything about them. We had a big discussion about that, but actually, we decided to keep that process in place. And then once we narrow down and the points are totaled, we bring in, and for this one we did 2 interview panels. So the first interview panel was Patty, Stacy, me, Jim Sullivan, and Tom Curioso, our Deputy Director of Public Works. And then the next panel was me, Stacy, the Chief of Police, and Tom again. Yeah. And then we kind of, tally, discuss, then kind of rank, and then the director does all the references that they've given, and usually they ask would they be willing to give more, and that's how we ended up getting a lot of references. And then we kind of regroup and discuss, and then to make the decision. And that's pretty standard. For some positions, we only do 1 round of interviews, but. Any other questions or comments? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, motion carries. Retirement, another appointment. So with Patty's retirement, she'll be stepping down from the retirement board, and Marisa will be joining. Farouk Rajab, who represents the Board of Ed on the retirement board, is also stepping down. And he has asked that we appoint a different member of the Board of Ed, Meg Blanchette, to serve on the board. So with that, could we get a motion to appoint both Marisa and Meg to the retirement board?
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion on that?
No?
All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. And I'll check with Farouk about Meg. I know for Patty, she introduced Marisa, maybe the meeting was actually happening today or call, to some of the key different people on the retirement board. Obviously, it's a little bit different roles, but to be sure that's part of the transition process. So we have a good board, so that should be good. And then, all right, so I think we voted on that, right?
Yes. Me too.
Okay, reappointment for Planning and Zoning Commission. Could I get a motion to reappoint Charles Sheehan and Ryan Deasy to the Planning and Zoning Commission?
So moved.
For your second.
Second. What about Garrett?
And a discussion. They'll come next because we just got their correspondence. So yeah, no. I know, we always sort of think further too. If we have it, so we just do it. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, motion carries. Unfortunately, resignation, Marilyn Riley has resigned from the Commission on Aging. We thank her so much for her service on this commission. She was really wonderful. And that commission has gotten really active in the last probably like a couple of years, so we'll definitely thank her. And then people know anyone who wants to be on that
How many
commission.
openings now?
So I think with her, that would be two, but if the charter
Oh, yeah.
changes, it will work out because with that charter change, it will reduce the number of members from 12 to 7 with three
Three
alternates.
Oh,
So it actually will,
Would work out.
okay, all right. Yeah, I knew there was a change.
So we'll, yeah, wait and see if people are interested, they can reach out.
Okay.
Old business, none. Okay. New business. Parking options for downtown Mystic. So I think you guys have a handout. This is very much, a draft and a discussion for you guys. So basically what I tried to do since the town meeting vote was think about all the feedback we've gotten over the last 3 years, which really has been very helpful, and try and think about how do we balance all the different kind of needs with hopefully a real focus on the residents that live there and what would be best for them. And so basically, just to sum it up, what the proposal is that we have 2 zones. So one zone, and I'm just calling it a zone, you could call it whatever, but one zone, which I was calling kind of the commercial district, is kind of Cottrell Street from East Main to Washington, just a tiny part of Washington Street from Cottrell to Willow, Home Street, which is
You mean Washington?
like that last little,
Yeah.
yeah, that
You said
little,
Concord.
and then Home Street from like East Main to Forsyth, and then East Main from the drawbridge to Broadway. And I did draw, I do not have good GIS skills, but I did try to use a highlighter to show where it was. This is not my forte.
Not much better than that.
And just to show where it is. Then the Zone 2, the Village District, I did learn some new GIS tools. I drew like a map. And basically everything in this zone is about approximate within a 5-minute walk to the commercial area. But it's really all the residential homes. So the thought here was that we needed to do something to protect, for lack of a better word, those streets from people, just human nature being what it is. They see these are paved streets right in the prime area that they'll just go park, 30-second walk, 1 minute, 2 minute, 3 minute, maybe 5 minute. Might be too far, and that's what the discussion will be. But walk, and then it actually made the problem even worse for the residents instead of making it better. So the thought was that we could make those also paid, but the big difference between the two, which again, we can talk about all this because some things have changed, just more research we've done, is Zone 1 would be time, so 3-hour parking, $3 an hour with specific hours for that 8 to 8, and everybody would pay, including Stonington residents in that area, aside from the few handicap spaces, and again, that's just that prime commercial area. In Zone 2, the Village District, only visitors would pay. All Stonington residents would be free. We found out the way that, which we can talk about how it's done, that makes it okay for the police to enforce still, and there'd be no time limit. So that was where we were trying to do the balance. We also are still having conversations, which we could talk more about. I just had one this morning with the Stonington PD and the chair of the police commission, who's the local traffic authority, about some concerns they have about guest parking pass permits, but I'm still going with it for now until we can go through everything. But the idea with the guest parking pass permit is that anybody who lives in that village district, like on those streets, could come to, this is an example because we obviously haven't worked out the way it would work, but they could come to town hall, not sure where, maybe say town clerk. I'm not saying that for sure, Sally, just throwing it out there, but could come to the town clerk, show where they live, and get a guest pass parking permit. And that hopefully would address some of the concerns that have been brought up, particularly from people who have smaller driveways or no driveway, that, you have someone visiting, you have a visiting caregiver or just family or friends, and they don't live in Stonington, we do have friends outside of Stonington, that they'd at least have one option for free parking on the street. Obviously they can move their cars from their driveway to the street, but particularly if they have
So
a very small driveway.
Could this be something that any resident could just have one permanently that they could use at any time?
Who live on the streets where the paid parking is.
Okay.
Yes, but not anyone, but
Gotcha.
anyone in Stonington who has a car registered in
Right.
Stonington can
Gotcha.
park for free,
But
but
not
they
the
don't
guests.
get the guests, because it's, yeah,
That makes sense.
okay. in fairness to the police commission, the chair, and PD, they brought up some, and actually Stacy, they brought up some very fair points about concerns about, implementation, basically like people also duplicating these passes, like how do we make sure they're not, I was like, wait, nobody would do that. They're like, of course people would. And not saying our residents would, but I mean, anybody gets their hand on one. And so I'm gonna try and over the next week or two, do more research as to how others, like we know Newport, we know there's other
Yeah,
towns and cities.
I've seen them in other towns.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and their concern is that these are probably bigger departments that have like a parking arm where they're going around and specifically, and it's probably like registered and they're checking it, but we're gonna do more
Yeah,
research
it's
to find out.
Bristol, Rhode Island.
Bristol?
Yeah, because that's just a small town, they have
Right.
it goes in.
Bristol, so we'll look at all of that. And then the other thing I wanna do, obviously I want your guys' feedback, and you don't even have to do it right now, I know this was
No, I have a
just
couple questions.
shared with you. Yeah, so we can talk now and then we can talk more, but I wanna have hopefully a community conversation again, maybe the first week of October. We just reached out to Chief Clarkin to see about using the firehouse again, because we know it takes them, they have to go through the board and it takes some time to get a date approved. So we did go ahead and just get that wheel in motion. But we can obviously, there's no deadline, like if we need more
Yeah,
time,
I don't know, winter.
we need more time. But to talk to the residents to want to get their take on this. I mean, people might say, I absolutely do not want paid parking on my residential street. And if the majority of residents don't want that, like this was just to protect them. So this is very much a conversation. And then also to understand like how important the guest parking passes to them, what they think about the potential drawbacks. So it's all a conversation. Nothing is set in stone. This is supposed to make life better for those that live here first and foremost, and then also for visitors secondary.
So I have a couple
Oh,
questions.
go ahead.
Oh,
Yeah.
first. My first question is, like, I'll do the easy one first.
Okay,
There's all these parking lot Ps here, does that,
that was just the Google map.
okay,
Yeah.
I was like,
Yeah,
Okay,
that's a really
that's not-
solid
all right,
point. I have no
I
idea what that means. I should have looked at that. Thanks, look at you.
no, I was
Detective
like,
skills.
yeah. Well, I mean, obviously I know there's parking lots, but does it come into the plan? No, that's just Google Maps.
Yeah.
So my second question is, why did you not decide in this commercial district to at least say maybe an hour free parking for residents or something?
It's a very good question. So again,
I
we
know
can
that's
talk
gonna
about
come
it.
up.
We had a really good call, and again, we don't have to go with them, but they're just widely used, was Park Mobile. And super helpful. And that is like, when you use their app, basically what it's always tied to is like, you could say like, first hour is free, but then you'd have a 2-hour minimum. Like there has to be some form of payment for the app to work. And they said they thought it was absolutely crazy if we wanted to, but we could do something where we say, we would collect everybody's license plates that a Stonington resident, upload it to their system, which again, we'd have to figure out the bandwidth for that, but then they'd still have to use the app for it to be efficient for the police to be able to do their part. And there's something like a 46-cent fee just for using it. So again, I mean, maybe that's what residents would want, but they would still have to pay, 46 cents, it's not like, but they still have to use the app and everything. And then I think part of the other thought, and again, I get it, 'cause I
That
was,
isn't something that could be negotiated?
Yeah,
with
I know,
everybody?
because I know I've
Yeah.
heard a lot from people that I pay my taxes, I don't want to have
and
to
I think
pay.
the idea was like, you can park 30-second walk.
But then you're pushing the residents into those residential areas.
Well, they're parking there anyways,
Yeah.
and I think,
Yeah.
and Paul also, not to be honest, but can speak to this because he's been part of this 3 ordeal, but I think, this is the commercial area. It's where you want better turnover for the businesses, where you want, people to
Yeah,
be,
yeah.
It's a prime spot, and
But you want residents to be able to park too.
and they should, and if they are willing to pay the $3 an hour there, then, they can, or one, they know the streets better, but also they can still park for free in this much larger now area that we're adding a layer of protection because we're still charging.
Yeah, but
Visitors.
as Deb pointed out, then they're displacing the residents of those streets, potentially.
But they would be, we all lived and were down there, they're already, so this should be making it better because I think as residents have shared, they see a lot of employee parking on those streets. They see.
It'll take a lot of it, I'm sorry.
Yeah, it'll take a lot of it off, because now this is like, you have to pay to park there. So it should, and again, that's what we keep saying, in theory, like, these are all theories. And if residents are living down there and living, breathing this every day, and they're like, look, we thought this was a good idea, but it's not, we can, the very next month, go to the police commission and say, we need to revise our plan. Like, we're all doing this to make it better, to solve a problem. So Again, if residents
Are
really,
there
really.
residents who live on these commercial streets?
Yeah, but not a lot.
Not a lot,
Yeah,
so
there
they-
and they would
so-
have, I'm trying to think, like the people on Cottrell, they, I think, have off-street, like they have
Okay,
their
they have
parking.
off-street parking.
It's a good question, we'll double
They
check.
do right now,
Yeah.
but that's not guaranteed.
No,
going
yeah.
forward. Yeah, so I had another question I forgot, but the one that just came up is, if we want to, is it possible where it's the resident free parking, the
Mhm.
yellow streets, would it be possible to still have a time limit for those that are paying? So that we don't, we can
Yeah.
discourage employees from
From
going to
parking,
restaurants and parking all day on Washington Street, for instance.
Yes, hopefully the payment part would still discourage it. I think the problem at the time, which I'll go back to the PD and ask, but was then, like you have a visitor, they're free, but it's like a 3-hour parking limit, like you don't want them to have to move? But I can go back and circle that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Does
At
it,
least
do you
for
see
the
what I'm
paid
saying?
people.
Like,
I know what you're saying,
yeah.
but yeah, but for the paid,
could it be just for,
just for the
just for
paid.
pay, yeah.
Yeah. And, the other thing, I know what I want to ask about, what about, I know there's got to be some signage involved in this. How much signage and how much is that, how much signage is there going to be on some of these streets that are already kind of cluttered?
yeah, it's a good, and I think it's also up to us, but that's a good point to have a markup, because they give you like a best practice, but I think it's too much, the best practice, it's, I forget what it is, but it's, you know, so I think, again, it's up to us, and they just say it helps with, and, you know, people
Oh, so you could have
abiding,
one
we can make
sign
it decide,
somewhere.
yeah, we could, you
I
know,
mean, it wouldn't be very good for
at the,
people.
to know, but you could have one just at the start and the end, because I agree, like, you don't want sign clutter.
Yeah.
So there's no minimum number, though?
No, it's just, it's our decision.
Okay.
They'll give you like a best practice, but we can decide. But that's a good point for the community one, that's something they should weigh in on.
Yeah.
No, I think the most important thing is letting the community weigh in on this. I
Oh,
mean, we have
definitely.
our own opinions, but it really is a community that needs to.
And that's
I
why if
don't
you
really
guys
don't on this.
have more questions, we go, but I did Paul's here, and he's been tirelessly working on this for 3 years. So I don't know if you want to say anything, or we can just thank you for not giving up.
Yeah, first of all, thanks for moving on this, and thanks for the three of you focusing on the residents, because certainly we felt, and not from the Board of Selectmen, but from other boards, we felt that the people who live there seem to be secondary, and the people who are visiting seem to be primary, and we're glad we're flipping that back to the way it should be. I think as residents, I haven't talked to a lot of people about this yet, but I think we all have to, of course, I don't want to compromise anything. I want everything to go back the way it was 25 years ago, but I understand that's not going to happen. So there's going to have to be some compromises. For example, the one thing I was thinking of, if it's possible, technology, but Danielle's saying that maybe it's not, was what you had said, Deb, is in the commercial zones, if residents parked for free, but they still had the 3-hour limit. So if they were there past 3 hours,
Or
they
even
paid
for the
50.
one, even for the
Even just a 1 hour,
They-
yeah, just
they pay 50
to run a
bucks.
quick errand.
No, but I'm talking about,
Oh,
I'm talking about if it's a 3-hour parking zone,
oh, I see, yeah.
which is what we're talking about creating in Cottrell and Holmes, right? And it's a 3-hour parking zone, whether it be an hour or whether it be 3 hours. If it's a 3-hour zone, and if a resident is there more than 3 hours, it's a 3-hour zone, they pay $50, they get fined if police actually ticket. That's another thing that has to be. Is the police department actually going to make a commitment
They are,
to actually enforce
they have made that commitment.
parking regulations? Well, I haven't seen it yet, but I haven't seen it on my street. I got people parking in different directions, but anyway, it's early,
Certainly.
and we'll be patient. So we're
The
happy
theme
about
of the
that.
meeting.
I think I think neighbors are going to accept that there's got to be some compromise, but it'll be interesting to hear what neighbors think about parking on, like my street, Jackson, and Willow on the other side, and all these side streets, and see how this is managed. Because I don't know. And it would be nice to have, that you asked, to have some type of idea of signage. Here's what they think is optimal. However, one end of the street, the other end of the street, maybe you can get away with 2 signs, or maybe you can,
They also
maybe
start
somehow
with
you can.
less And then like if we find, you know, uptake is terrible and people are using signage as an excuse to get out of tickets,
Right.
then maybe we have to add another, but I definitely would start with less.
We also wonder how many people would actually, as far as tickets go, if they're getting ticketed by the PD, what percentage actually pay?
Yeah, pay the ticket,
So I
exactly.
have one other concern I have, it's not, I mean, you say the beginning of October for the meeting, I mean, I guess that'd be fine, but my preference would be the longer lead time we can have, the better. I mean, there's just so much going on, and I just found out about the public forum on the parks this week, you know, which is next week, and it just seems like a little more lead time with all that's going on in town would be better. Like I say, I'm all right with beginning of October, but I'd rather see beginning of November. And I think people are more engaged in the fall too than they are, you know.
It
some-
just hard, gets towards the holidays and then we have to do the follow-up from it, so it's like,
Yeah, I get that.
yeah. But maybe not early October, maybe a
Maybe
little
later.
later. And you're gonna do it on Halloween, I'm just kidding. Go ahead. Yeah.
I'm late to the conversation. Who's going to keep the time, who's doing the timekeeping on all this?
So for the parking,
Yeah,
so that's one of the reasons the police really wanted it, is it's this like kind of more efficient technology that they'll be able to use with they can explain it better, but it's like a new kind of, not record-keeping
It's done
system,
with
but
your
like,
phone. It's all done with your phone.
Yeah.
so they go up with their license plate reader and can see if they either paid to park with this Park Mobile system or if they haven't, and they will be able to kind of see how long they've been there and everything. That's why we need
If they're a
this.
Stonington resident,
Yeah.
And if you're a Stonington resident, they can do a license plate reader and be like, okay, you're free, you're good.
but the time has to be from the last time you checked or something like that, right?
So they've made, and again, they're actually having a meeting tomorrow night, not to throw them in this, but I can get them, maybe I'll ask them to do a write-up, because they did a good job at our community meeting explaining it, and I'm gonna butcher it, so I'll get them to explain it. But they basically said this will really help tremendously with enforcement.
Does this mean there'll need to be more policemen?
That's the whole point, is this would actually help, like, we're not,
Because they're kind of going by it now, right?
they don't have enough police to do this now. So that's why they were asking for this and why they didn't give up and put this forward 3 times.
Thank you.
Jennifer, yeah?
Yeah, thank you for all you've done on this. The community meeting was really good, and I look forward to the next one. I don't know if I can make it. I live in that area, and I'm just wondering, I know this is really hard to do, but would this be an opportunity to fix in front of Bravo and Shipwright's Daughter, the chicane around those 2 weird parking spaces? It's really bad for cyclists. The road, the yellow line curves. So there's 2 in front of Shipwright's, and then there's 2 in front of Bravo and the
Yeah, that was great. That was done for Bravo when they were on the other side of the
Well,
street.
this might be a time with this big project to do a little, you just darken out the old spaces and make it straight. And it's just a friction point for pedestrians, for traffic, for everything. It's
Yeah.
weird.
Yeah, no, we can talk more, Jennifer, as you know, it's a state road, so we would
Yeah, I
have
know.
to.
But we
But,
can say, we're doing this big thing. This would be a good time to do this.
Yeah, they might be, actually, I won't speak to anything yet, but there might be a very good opportunity to bring that up, so I'm glad you did. So will you just circle back with me and the chief about it?
And the second thing is, since I live there, I know the post office people and parking. And I talked to Commissioner Turner about this, if we could provide them a space where they could park. And I was talking to him if he could contact Frontier and that lot. If they could just all go there and take care of these workers.
Oh, for the workers,
For the
not for
police.
not for
Yeah,
the, not for
they're
the
to
patrons
park
of the.
on Willow and
Gotcha.
and Church.
Yeah, I wouldn't,
I'll
it
talk to
wouldn't be
you.
in favor
They
of giving
also
up
maybe
spaces for-
could use the 4th District voting hall. I mean, it's not very
Mhm.
far
Yeah,
walk,
yeah, yeah.
just when it's not underwater.
Yeah, that'd be good. Yeah, if they have, let's care for them.
Yeah, no, that's really thoughtful, thank you. Let's follow up with those. All right, we're going road, but that's okay.
Long road.
Okay, so back to you, to anything else, Paul, on this? Okay, to you guys?
No, thank you.
Okay. And like we said, if you have think about, take a look at this, obviously, I mean, Debbie, you know people too, not to leave you out, but Ben, you know a lot of people down there as well. So if you want to chat, share this, definitely, it's not secret, you send it around, and then if you have feedback before our next meeting, you could send it to Stacy, or you have like requests for like me to do different research.
I think it probably would come at the public forum, but if you have any kind of a handout that.
Yeah, I'm just saying if
we could-
before that, like I think we tried to specifically be sure we had another meeting before we had a public forum, so that way if you guys think of other questions or feedback, or to your point, giving more time. So if you think of things, or if you're talking to people and other thoughts come up, things that we should run down.
Sure.
But thank you very much.
Yeah,
Okay.
could you send me the?
I'll send you the revised one, because yeah, I only think it just,
Please.
I'll just flag this, we're having an informal meeting anyways. I changed, and we can talk more about the footnote about the criteria. I said criteria and execution for a potential guest pass parking permit is to be determined.
Yeah, that's
Versus
fine.
being very specific.
That's
'Cause,
fine. But that would give me a document to
Yeah.
share.
Okay, I will do that. Fine, that was good. Oh, we have another top one. Okay, this is okay. Then it gets better from here. Okay. This is just a discussion. Again, we don't have to, I'm not expecting anybody to necessarily make any decisions right now unless you feel strongly, but I want to talk about the charter, my bright ideas. So we were kind of going into phase 2 of the charter, and then some very smart people said, like maybe we should hit pause and actually really evaluate, and then we were like, let's bring it to our board to really talk about it before we just give them the green light to keep going with our original mandate, the things that they couldn't get done. So I'm going to just give a brief overview, and then we can talk about it. So brief review of the Charter Revision Commission budget shows that we have spent basically about $19,000 in total, with about $4,000 remaining in our budget for this fiscal year that will be probably used. And we had, I think, a chart that we shared with you guys. Basically, the budget for these expenses will need to increase pretty substantially if we do go into a second round, because the second round will be the entire charter. And so it really comes back to the legal expenses being the biggest part of this next one. So whereas for this one, we only had to print the segments that were changed and those questions. If we're changing, if we're doing a big overhaul, not a big overhaul in terms of like consequential things, but like the gender neutral terms,
All over the board.
all over, yeah. Well, we basically, all right, so as of now, which it could change in the General Assembly, but it hasn't changed yet, is that you have to post the whole thing in the newspaper. So one full-page ad that included the 3 pages of information cost this year about $5,700 for both papers. The Day is more expensive than the Sun, but we do it in both. We reached out to the Sun, who provided a very, very rough estimate for us, and they thought probably to do the full charter in there would be about $5,000 to $6,000. If we had to also do in the Day, I would pretty much triple that. So that's another conversation. We don't necessarily have to. Legally, you only have to pick one paper, but because we have 2 papers that kind of have different circulations, we typically always do it in both. So that's just something to think about. So the legal part is really expensive. The clerical would probably be about the same, which would probably be about $1,400. The legal is expensive. It was about a little over $11,000. And that would probably be about the same, maybe a little less, because they kind of know what they're doing a little bit more, but we still needed to lean on them a good bit. And so basically, yeah, the things that we talked about that were still left was the gender neutral terms,
The department.
like kind of straightening up things about departments and titles and things like that to match what's actually happening. Like we've talked about, like solid waste and building haven't reported to the Director of Public Works in a very, very long time, but they still say in the charter. It makes me uncomfortable not to, I still go by first selectman, like it just makes me uncomfortable. I like to just follow the rules, but at the same time, they said, a lot of towns are in this situation. It's, I don't think we're going to get into any trouble by not doing it, but I don't know. I'm very open. I still like the idea of going forward with cleaning it up and fixing it and having the members seem very open to continuing to do it once we can. But I really wanted, and again, you don't have to make any decisions now, but I wanted to bring this to you guys.
Are there alternative places to publish it, like on a state or a town website? You have to use a newspaper.
We don't have to do both.
You don't have to do
We
both.
can
So it's
cheat
a newspaper of
Some people are going to
circulation.
complain.
They'll complain, but they can buy a copy.
One thing I've talked about is like you could do a legal ad in the Day that's
It
smaller,
says,
and
yeah.
it just says, please see the town website
Yeah.
for that. Again, people,
which makes sense. I mean, that's kind of what I'm thinking of. It's like, because I'd hate to stop it.
It's still, I
Just
still say,
because-
we're still looking at probably a
Still.
minimum of, let me just look at a minimum of another $20,000, which again,
In
maybe.
addition to
towards-
the $4,000 that's left.
Yes, because we're gonna spend that, right?
I would
Yes,
say.
because we still have to do
Oh, you
this.
mean we're gonna spend that without going forward?
No, I think,
Has he billed us though for the
Oh,
pamphlet? The-
no.
No,
There's
yeah,
still
so I think we
another-
still have some more legal expenses
Yeah.
coming in. He's helping the town clerk with this educational text that he
So we
talked
can,
about.
we can assume we're gonna have to start fresh for the
Yeah.
second phase.
So I'd say, yeah, more like probably 22,000 for the next phase at a minimum. Which again, I mean, we have an $80 million budget, but, you know,
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
still
We
money.
We also
took-
cut corners in a lot of places.
Yeah.
You know, this is just, I haven't thought about this at all until now, but my inclination would be to leave it be, and other changes are gonna come up that we wanna make, and then we open it again. You know,
I
I
totally
mean,
feel
you know,
that.
it's easy for me to say because I'm not a select woman, but yeah, I think it's a high price for what we're gonna get out of it.
And what do you think?
No, I feel like it took us like 5 years to get to this point. We're halfway done. I'd like to see it finished. I'd love to look at the alternatives, like just publishing a notice in the day that sends you somewhere else. You know, I'd love to see possibly saving money that way. I do think that they've already kind of gotten started on this, so it's possible, although not a given, that they may need less legal assistance
that's
while they trudge through it, and then have the attorney maybe not come to every single meeting for the whole meeting, but, you know,
Yeah, but
however.
they're gonna need the attorney to.
I mean, they
to-
absolutely
you know,
need
to
him
be
to
able to go
review it,
through,
yeah.
no, but I mean, I think it's gonna be a lot involved in finding where all the spider webs lead when you change one word here, and, you know, where else you have to go with that. and-
I'm of two minds, like, on just that point alone, like, it could be less money or it could be much more money. I really have no idea, and that could be part of my homework. I can talk to the attorney we've used for this to
Yeah.
find out. I have one more thing, but like, go ahead, you want to say something?
Changes are going to continue to happen. So if you've already considered changing it, because there's a lot of things in it that are not maybe what they really are, it's only going to get worse. But I like the idea, someone suggested, I think, that you don't publish it in both newspapers and save yourself somewhat serious money. But the town website is an appropriate place to publish it where people would have access to it and could, as I would, print out a copy, you know, or some piece of it that I wanted to make a copy of. So I would argue that you should, you're 5 months pregnant here. You know, go ahead and have the baby, but maybe there's another one, sorry. Maybe there's another way to minimize the cost of publishing it and meeting the requirements of the law to expose it. Those are my comments.
Thank you. So what I can do is I can look at, you asked me, I regret, to look at beyond minimizing cost. Didn't you say something I said look at? I'm trying to take notes of the name.
Oh, shoot.
Oh, asking the
Oh,
attorney.
yeah, the attorney. Yeah, find
His
out.
thoughts on expenses for next year.
And also minimizing the legal notice.
Minimizing legal. And then what I can also do is, I'm like losing track of time, but yeah, October, I could go to the Board of Finance's October meeting and also get their take on it. Since obviously, I mean,
Yeah.
if we're
They're
going to
be
move
the
forward.
final arbiter, right?
Yeah, because we either need to do it now, so
Yeah.
they'd actually have to do an additional appropriation or
Mhm.
a commitment. So, okay, so I'll find out from the attorney. We'll look at the legal stuff. We'll get the Board of Finance's point of view, and then before obviously moving
Is
anything
that
forward. Yes, is it? No, is it an operating? The legal stuff was, and then the the clerical's in us. Yeah, I think it was all on
So they're
operating.
separate.
Yeah.
It's not just budgeted for charter review.
No, yeah, we had to add that special, I think we'd asked for like, yeah, is it 20,000 we asked for?
I think it was 17 or 18.
Yeah, we already needed more. Right, so, okay, I'll report back on that. Okay, I'm very torn on that one. Part of me is like, it was so nerve-wracking opening it, and I'm like, do we really want to face it and do it again? I'm like, should we just leave it? It's like,
Yep.
We did the big stuff, I don't know, I'm very torn, but okay, so we'll circle back on that. At the September 25th meeting, I'll give an update.
Also, it just occurred to me, it's still got to go to referendum, and
Fail.
it may fail,
Yeah,
or,
or different items.
or, different items may fail. It may be that we want to change what we address in the
Yeah.
second phase. So
Well, that's true.
Well,
Yeah,
yeah.
we
Change the
didn't get
scope.
started till after the referendum.
Referendum,
Yeah.
that's true.
That's a good point, though.
It's a turning question too, sorry, watching real-time meeting take place. Should we wait for- Okay, thank you guys. Okay, every year, this is good, I think this is good. We received a request from Clyde Cider Mill to use our parking lot, 49 North Stonington Road, for overflow parking from September 1st to November 30th. Again, this season, this is something we tried to do to address resident concerns about parking along the road and police commission concerns. I don't think many people really use it, but at least I think they do have their staff park there, which is at least somewhat helpful, and some people use it. So could I get a motion? Could I get a motion to approve request for the use of 49 North Stonington Road for overflow parking from September 1st to November 30th?
So moved?
I'll second for discussion.
Okay, discussion.
Yeah.
Yeah, is there any precedent for providing public parking for a private business?
Other than the fact we've done it the last 2 years, 3 years, I'm trying to think. I mean, we do it for events for people. I mean, where somebody might ask us for the
Mystic
4th.
Seaport,
Yeah.
but that's a
We've done it for
nonprofit.
other groups, I think, too. haven't we?
Boy
That was
Scouts,
just-
but
yeah,
they're
Boy
usually
Scouts.
nonprofits.
Yeah, it seems,
I think there's no other use, and it's empty, and it was, I think, a police and resident concern. It wasn't like Clyde's was the one asking us. It was
residents.
it was residents and the police commission asking for solutions, so we came up with the idea that this is sitting there empty, and
what would keep those people from just parking there anyway without being given formal permission?
nothing, but
Nothing.
they have to provide us insurance, so it gives us some coverage that they have insurance that people are parking there and we're covered if something happens, if they trip or fall. Because if not, I think technically, if we knowingly allow people to park there
Yeah.
and don't then have them move, we could be liable. I think that was part of the conversation with Jim Sullivan.
I mean, I don't know
I'm
how
still
enforcement
uncomfortable
is along that road, but I made the mistake of driving through there the
And
other
Ben,
day.
just wanted to, so what makes you uncomfortable with?
Just the idea of providing a town service to a private business that we don't provide to any other businesses. It just seems an unfair advantage for them.
I mean, but other businesses haven't asked, have they? No.
Well, yeah,
And I suppose they could.
and I suppose they could.
My question to you was, this period encompasses election day? What will happen on that day?
Yeah, good point.
Good point. So we
Because
have to have
that is
no
a voting,
parking,
yeah.
no,
There'll have to be at least some areas saved, for the, I mean, I don't know what kind of an overlap there'll be, but there could be some.
you know, like Tuesday.
Probably on a Tuesday.
Probably not much,
Still,
but
Yeah,
it's a
should
good point,
definitely
we
be
should at
no
least
parking
reach out
lot.
to them,
Yeah.
yeah.
And at least have some of the parking lot maybe that day.
Yeah, I mean, it is a huge parking lot.
It's a huge
and,
parking lot,
Yeah,
so,
I think also with we'll see, with early voting's gonna be interesting, if it's as busy, but it's a good point, we should at least
Early
reach
voting
out.
isn't going to be there, is it?
No, I'm just saying
No.
with early voting,
Oh.
it's
There may be
busy
less
as
people
it's
there.
passed. I mean,
It's
that
not
was
a
our
real hopping.
quiet one.
It's my district, so it's
It's a little hard, but it's a good, we should still vote on no
People will be
parking.
in and out of there, so.
Election. Anything, any other?
No, that was,
Okay. And Ben, no worries if you want to abstain or
Yeah.
say no, you can, of course. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Do you want to say anything further?
Abstain.
Abstain, all right. Okay, wait, we made it. Comments from the selectmen. Deb, Ben?
We're not there yet. I'll go. Okay.
Go ahead, Ben.
You sure?
Yeah.
How bad is it? I don't know.
Bunch of words. Just various committees. Went to a beautification committee meeting for the first time. Just for clarification, I don't think that I was the one who was appointed.
No, it was me. I just haven't
Yeah.
I
So
reach out to them
Carol-
all the
Carol
time, but I
reached out to
don't-
me
yeah.
and said, why haven't you been coming? And I
Oh,
thought, it's not me, but
Oh, no. it
I
was-
went
it was
anyway,
fun.
and it was, you know, it was an education to go, but they put me to work immediately. So I was
They're
asked to
great.
Smart move,
speak,
Deb.
no good deed goes unpunished. I was asked to speak with DPW about getting rid of weeds in the downtown Pawcatuck sidewalks. I mean, they're pretty bad, and so I've left 3 voicemails for the Director of Public Works and have not received a call back. That's been in the last 2 weeks. Perhaps First Selectmen can help with that. Either getting me a call back or
Yeah.
talking to him directly.
And did you leave a voicemail for him or with a message with
Both.
Kim? Okay.
First with his secretary, and then I got his office number and the voicemails with him. Number of issues came up at the meeting that seemed like it could be resolved if the director or somebody from Public Works would maybe attend the meetings, and so maybe regularly.
We meet with them fairly
Yeah.
regularly
Yeah.
outside of stuff, like
Yeah.
just yesterday.
Yeah,
But no, they're
But not the
wonderful.
entire
They have a
commission.
lot.
I mean, they do a lot of work.
They do a lot,
of work.
and
I don't
they,
want to do it for them, so I thought that if somebody from the department could just show up at the meeting once a month. It
Yeah.
wouldn't be that big a lift.
yeah, I'll try to, we've done that in the past. We also would set up these individual, like liaison roles where they would then meet with us during their regular hours, so that way they could actually and meet with the right people, because it's sometimes bottlenecks and has to all go through the director. And it was, I think, going well. I think sometimes they want things to move quicker, but
Yeah, I know,
they're wonderful.
they
They
have
have
a
a
little bit of
lot,
attitude there.
they have a lot that they want to do, and it's amazing, but it's a
Well, they
tight
do
staff.
a lot.
They've got a
Yeah.
lot.
So also, Eric Beverly, who maintains the plantings around the Civil War Memorial in Mystic, says the gate's damaged and also locked, so I inspected it today, and it's not locked, but the latch is inoperable, so I don't know who could take care of that.
Where
Just
is
to
that
make- The Civil War Monument in the Rotary in downtown.
Oh, in the center?
Yeah.
One that the car hit.
It's the
Yeah.
states.
It's a-
Yeah, I know
Yeah.
that, but, and they know
Yeah.
that, if somebody could help out to just get them access. He climbs over the fence, but it's.
Oh, to be able to,
It's used
probably not
gate.
supposed to be in there, so, yeah, we'll
Well, it's not
definitely find
locked.
out.
It's not locked, it's just jammed.
We went through a
I mean,
lot
I
of
could go
state
fix
on
it,
that
but-
a couple of years ago when someone hit it.
Crowbar?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We tried to, but I think we just have to be careful, because there's a chance we're not supposed to be touching it at all.
Okay.
So, but the
Is that something you can find out then?
DOT's been very helpful, so let me,
I would think that,
Find
maybe,
out.
Want it to be beautified. Stonington Harbor Management Commission, as plans for the dinghy dock near the WPCA facility take shape, a couple of questions have come up. Since the dog park is being considered for, they call it the dog park, because it's not the dog park anymore. But since the dog park is being considered for access and parking, it would need to go to planning and zoning for approval. It would seem that the borough BZC would be the proper agency, but 8-24 review by the Stonington BZC would also be necessary since it's a town facility. Also, the question arose that if the docks and shoreside improvements were to be built out, who would oversee their use? Would it stay with the Stonington Harbor Management Commission or move to the Waterfront Commission? And so I talked to Sandy with the Waterfront Commission, and he, of course, wants, they want to have a shot at it. So I have gotten back to Sherman Kreitz on the subcommittee for the dinghy dock and said that they should meet with them at the next meeting. You know, somebody from the subcommittee should go to the Waterfront Commission next meeting, which is in 2 weeks. And in response to a request by a resident, the commission is looking into the history of the deep permitting at the Stonington Harbor Yacht Club docks, as some substantial public use was originally required when Stonington Commons was built. Also, it was brought up by a member and reiterated by others that there is great disappointment that the rebuilding of the east inner breakwater has not been more aggressively pursued by the town. So I'm just passing that on. They're very adamant that I should bring that up. It's the first I've heard of it. so
okay.
It's not me, just the messenger. Planning and Zoning Commission. At our first meeting, our newest member brought up the status of POCD update and expressed frustration that this process has not yet been taken up by the commission, which must oversee it from beginning to end. Hopefully these concerns are now being addressed by both the chair and the planning department. Also, it was pointed out to me that a request by Ms. Morrison for a print copy of the new zoning regs was denied. I find this to be unacceptable. In the 9 months that I've been on this board, I have received at least 2 complete bound copies of the budget, numerous complete copies of the charter, and countless other large documents. It seems to me that with the commitment that we expect from these commissioners, the least we can do is provide a printed version of the regulations that they're charged with upholding. And lastly, twice in the past month I've turned up for meetings that have been canceled. It would do us all a service if going forward the ex officio members were included in announcements of meeting cancellations. That's it.
Let me just get that one.
Yeah, like last night, ZBA, I got here, and there was nobody here. So then I went back to the town website and checked it, and it was canceled.
No,
But
it's
even the chairman didn't know until like 5 o'clock, so. And it's happened a couple of times.
Right, I will follow up on most of those things. No, I'll follow up on all of those things.
I just have a couple quick
50%
things,
would be fine.
because I haven't been able to, well, a lot of my meetings I usually attend to have been canceled or haven't started up again for the summer, or I've had some crazy travel work commitments. But I have started again my monthly meetings with the superintendent. So we talked this week, and then we'll start up again. I have been working on, kind of on behalf of the Boathouse Park with the Seaport and the police to talk about the pedestrian safety aspects over there and trying to work towards a grant. And I have a few other brownfields things I've been working on, with the town. But I did want to bring up, the one thing I wanted to bring up is the state has published new draft regulations for release-based spill cleanups, which are very different from what they have now. And I'm very concerned that it could impact the way we as a municipality deal with minor spills or overfills or just things like that that we normally deal with very easily. These regs could throw a wrench into things, require a lot more testing and reporting and reports and consultants. They're still in draft. I'm on the working group. We have a meeting actually tomorrow that we're running scenarios because we're finding that some of these things I think is a great idea is not. So I'm going to try and, would Jeff or Tom, who would be the right person to talk to? I want to kind of understand what we're doing now so I can run it in the scenarios.
I reach out to both of them just
Okay.
because, like, Tom has more experience here dealing with them. But obviously Jeff as director should be involved also. He might have more experience. than me
Okay.
then.
Because we may, as a municipality, want to give some comments, so
Yeah.
I'd be happy to pull them together.
Thank
So,
you. Thanks for being on top of
okay, and that was really all.
that. Okay, trying to be brief. There's just like Appalachian. I feel like it was like everybody came back from summer mode into like, but okay, so one important update is Clara Drive, that segment of road between the Old Mystic Village and the aquarium. You guys may or may not remember, it was before any of us were at least here. The state had asked the town to take it over. At the time, I don't think were offering very much, and I think it was former Selectman Rob Simmons, and they very rightfully, said no, and the previous board was like, nope, we're not doing it. So they've since come back, and really, I have to say, they've been wonderful partners. They came back with a lot of,
Oh, this is the north?
Is this north or is this on?
From
Claire
Coogan
Drive,
Boulevard.
from Coogan Boulevard to the
North.
highway,
To the- okay.
to the highway. That's a very small
I
segment.
didn't realize there was Clara Drive still.
Yeah.
Of course it is.
Very, very small. But anyway, they are willing to make a litany of changes, including, very importantly, all these ADA accessible ramps on all the corners, including across the street, repave, like I think mill and pave that entire segment, make upgrades to the light, which was a big deal, to time it with the, 'cause I think right now there's nothing, to let the police install like a security kind of camera on there.
Is this just so they don't have to plow it?
View the,
Or
no,
what's
they'll
it
still
for?
plow it.
So
So
where are
the
they-
problem is, it's causing them, I think, problems because it's one of those sort of orphan roads that's kind of their road, but not entirely. It doesn't meet any of their standards. And so if they were to keep it, they would have to make it go up to their standards, which is where then we got concerned, which would include closing off entrances to the aquarium and the Old Mystic Village. There's too many entrances on that road. And then there's a concern then that will cause backup onto Coogan and the highway. But it,
Does it meet ours?
yes, so we went through everything with Tom, Jeff, Chris, the whole kind of public works team, with the chief, I think with the chair of the police commission as well, with Old Mystic Village out there, aquarium. It's been, a few months, and we're finally at the point where everybody's very comfortable with everything that's taking place. Again, DOT's really been wonderful. They're also going to do a kind of drainage inspection, make any improvements right under there.
Definitely drainage.
Trying to think if I'm,
Does planning and zoning have any say?
they will have to ultimately, once, just like with any road, like a subdivision road, it gets
Yeah,
turned over,
that's
they go
right.
through their checklist.
Would it make sense, just because the chairman has so much experience in that type of engineering, to maybe run it by him as well as wanting to contact people? Since they're going to review it anyway.
That's a good idea. Yeah, that's a really good idea. I will do that. I'll have Chris do that.
I mean, he's designed roads, so.
Yeah, that's a really good idea.
State roads.
Okay, so we'll do that for double due diligence. It's a great idea, thank you. And then otherwise, everybody's been, again, we've had meetings on site, we've had meetings at DOT in Norwich, kind of run through everything, and we think it's a good idea. So I just wanted to keep you guys updated. Thank you, that was already helpful. If you, think of anything else, if not, I think, we're finally at a point where everybody's comfortable with all the upgrades and changes.
And will it ultimately be up to us? Or-
Well, it's almost, I don't want to say it's a formality, but like, we do have to ultimately accept it. Obviously, planning and zoning does their whole checklist, but right now, I'd say is when they're really important work, because if we agree with the state to take it on, and they're doing all this work, I have to sign off on a contract, and I'm trying to think, I think the chair of the local traffic authority has to sign, so I think we have to co-sign a contract, and then the state attorney general signs off on it, the commissioner of DOT signs off on it, so I think that contract probably is the most important part, but that's why we wanted to foresee what our local process is, to be sure we're kind of doing it ahead of time, so that's a good point about the chair of planning and zoning. And then hopefully it'll end up being a good win. Again, we're getting, I forgot how much money they said they're putting into it, but it's substantial. And so hopefully it'll be an improvement for everyone. Stacy should give this update. The Cultural District Commission has been wonderful, and they're very excited about trying to feature artwork of a local artist that renders the Stonington Borough in times of yonder, and they were really hoping to get it up in time for the art walk, which is now,
Which is Saturday.
And we've been, stalking the bridge people at DOT, which were different than the other people we were just talking about. And they've been great, but this is obviously out of their normal, it doesn't fit in any standard of requests they usually get for their bridges. And so thanks to Stacy's relentless efforts, we finally got a response last night. And then today she was down there under the bridge. Trying to take pictures and get it all ready, and
Was
we
that
still have to
something you
get
put
them-
out before the RFP to artists?
Yes, but then
Oh.
they decided they didn't want to go that route. They went with an existing artist artwork, and it's not going to be a mural, it's going to be printed.
It's printed on a vinyl
Oh.
canvas.
Oh, yep.
And it's a local artist who grew up on Cutler Street, and that's where it's going to be placed. It's
Yeah,
on
it was
Cutler
very
Street.
nice, connection and story, and to try and connect, obviously, the cultural district, which spans from the Velvet Mill into the borough, with further art to make it more feasible. And I think, in fairness, they thought this would be simpler, not actually painting on the bridge, but putting something up, but it actually much harder.
So it's going to be under the bridge?
Yes, on the underpass.
Yeah.
And so hopefully
I
it's
got a contract tonight.
okay. Wow, they did work.
State, so we'll see.
So we'll see how that goes, but if it goes up, it should go to Stacy after that, so, and it will be really nice. And then I already got excited, maybe this could pave the way for us thinking about other underpasses, but she was like, stop, just no. Let's pause there, but no, it was a great idea, so thank you for your work on that. Also, this is kind of early days, but I'm just super excited about it. We've been having a lot of meetings. I think we're 90% of the way there to actually launch this brand new after-school program for the middle school. And it's a partnership with Human Services and the Como, and obviously the school. It's really geared at both some of the work that we've been doing about the at-risk youth with the 119K Commission, but then also with the superintendent's kind of leadership on, less screen time, removing the smartphone connection and replacing it with better, healthier, true connection activities, and also the idea like kids need more time to connect off screen, together and have a bit more autonomy, and, we'll have structured program, but also like some time where they can just kind of lead it. And so we're really excited. So at the Como, they'll have opportunities, depending on the day. It'll be 2 days at Como and 2 days at the middle school. Based on the kids and their responses, we'll try and create a program that like meets, what they're interested in. We'll probably have to cap it at around 20 kids, I think they said, but they can sign up for each day. So it could be different kids, different days. There will be transportation on the days it's at the middle school. At the Como, we're trying to work with the hot bus to potentially for kids who need transportation in order to participate. And so hopefully this is going to be amazing. We'll see.
And it's a human resources, not a school.
Human Services,
Human
yes.
Services.
Yep, it's a town, Human Services town program that we've obviously been talking about at the school, but we'd be running it.
So teaching kids how to play.
Basically, giving them a safe place. It's really, I think, mostly it's like for kids, the kids that we see who, they aren't in other after-school activities.
No, it's
And
a great thing.
And they're going home.
It's a great thing, it's just so funny.
Yeah, they're going home and either like being on screens, which, is what they're doing, or maybe potentially getting into trouble with downtime. So trying to really be like,
I think it's a great idea.
We've got
No,
something
I wasn't
else.
criticizing, I was just, the irony of it all.
Don't kill my dream of the after-school program. So that's really, I think, a really positive thing. Like, we have so much around, my head might explode, but there's good, to your point, Ben, it got pulled together, like, obviously, everyone at Human Services and Rec Department is just flat out, but they didn't want to give up on the date, but then they weren't able to kind of get everything going in time, but they did get the flyer up, so we didn't want to kind of change the date on them, but it is quick. To your point, it's a very quick turnaround, but September 19th. There's going to be a community conversation here, and it's going to be a follow-up about the circus lot to try and really get finalized feedback on the plans for the circus lot so we could really start moving forward, hopefully with really planning and next steps. There will still be more time for people obviously to get feedback, but we have to have a cutoff date at some point. And just in case anybody missed the one we had last year, at the Pawcatuck Firehouse, another chance to come see things in person. And the landscape architect who worked on it will be here to talk about it. And then there'll be the first unveiling of the potential plans for Spellman Park. And so that's from the Rec Commission kind of directive where different people will reach out to the Rec Department and Commission with ideas and thoughts for what else should go into Spellman Park. I'd say a lot of it was pickleball driven, but basically to be able to say like, look, we actually looked at wetlands, we looked at spacing, we looked at needs, we looked at everything. What could actually fit back here and be back here, and just like a preview of the plan. It really is awesome, and it's surprising how much, obviously not probably to you guys, but how much is wetlands. You can't really do that much, but by moving a basketball court and fixing this so you could have a better basketball area. There's a potential for pickleball up by the community gardens up here. But I think it was interesting. I think people thought there were so many places for it. That was really the only place they could find that was conducive. There is potential, was exciting, better like signage, maybe some more walking paths, maybe another trail, potentially a dog park area by one of the back pavilions, potentially I'm going to mess it up, a safety garden.
Today, it's a traffic garden.
Traffic garden.
Kids area.
Where kids can practice and try like how it is to like ride in a road, but like in a safe area. And Jennifer brought that up. And then, there was just the improvements to the playground, some things like that. So again, and the idea, we want to be very clear to people, is not that, oh my goodness, we're going to go ask for like, $10 million in next year's budget. It's to engage the community in a conversation, see what the priorities are, what we might be missing, and to come up with a long-term plan, and then how we go about it. So some things, like the pickleball courts, might be totally private fundraising. People really want to have them, they can private fundraise. Something like the basketball court that's crumbling and falling apart might have to be a priority in this year's SIP. The other things, I think, would be longer-term things, unless the community's like, oh my gosh, we really need to upgrade that playground, or we really want this trail for public works, focus on that. So it'll be an input, and hopefully it'll be up by tomorrow. but there's going to be a survey that goes with it. So anybody who can't attend can give feedback on it and still, give input virtually. And then obviously we're all happy, they're very happy to meet outside of these meetings and talk more. So that should be hopefully a good time. Stacey, anything else really big that I'm forgetting? Okay. There's a meeting tomorrow between DPW and one of the fishermen at the town dock, just to kind of finalize some more input on the town dock plans and to be sure it works for the federal funding requirements and their engineering requirements, as well as obviously what works for the actual scallop boats that tie up there and the other boats, and then try and get really close to hopefully finalizing the engineering plans for the pier. Good. Oh, yeah. Oh, and then the very last thing, thank you, Debbie. I did just want to say, every year since I've had this position, I've gone to the Stonington Rotary, does the memorial for Josh Piper, Stonington resident who lost his life in 9/11 23 years ago, and they do such a beautiful job, and it's always, just really heartfelt remarks about gratitude and compassion during really terrible times, and it's very, very touching. And then this year was the first time I went to the Mystic Fire Department, and they had representatives definitely from Mystic and Stonington Borough, I'm not sure of other departments, but they were all invited, and then the Stonington Police Department and EMS. And it was an unbelievably touching ceremony. They read the names of every single firefighter, police officer, EMS worker who lost their lives. They had different speakers, they had the bagpipes. It was just very, very touching, and seeing everybody come together. It was just and again, similar messages of, the importance of kind of kindness in light of such darkness. And it was just very touching to see the community kind of come together. And again, people of different parties, different backgrounds, different police were all there together. And it was just, even though it's an unbelievably sad moment, it was very touching. So just a thank you to everybody who puts those together. And if next year you guys want to go, obviously, to any of these, I know it's hard, it's the middle of a work day, but they're really worth going to. And on that, thank you.